Good evening, everyone. This is Jeff with Astroscoop, Deep Dive Astrology Coaching. It is 9 p.m. Today is Friday, December 19th, 2025. And we had my last live stream was 2 weeks ago. And I've had a tough couple weeks. So we're going to get back in the swing here. And there will probably be one more live stream of this year here on Astroscoop 3801 on YouTube. So please look for that most likely next week or at the maybe on New Year's Eve. Not sure yet. But it's 9 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll wait. I see that no one's here yet. And so my live streams have been different days and different times during the last season. So tonight at 9 p.m. is a different slot for me for Fridays. It's usually at 7 or 8, and lately it's been on Thursdays or Sundays. So here we are for Friday for 9 p.m., but I'm trying to access the other time zones in the United States, but also time zones in other countries, including the UK and Canada, where I'm getting some views. Although the majority of my views for this channel in the last month or two have been from the United States. So I appreciate the US viewers. And yeah, we're coming up on the holidays here. Very, very busy time. I'm looking to the west here. And of course, here on the East Coast, very dark. Although today was a little warmer, but we had some very erratic weather today. We had thunder, lightning, heavy rains, heavy winds, power outages in some areas. Luckily, I didn't lose power, but very, very, very interesting. Very, very sort of almost like March into April weather, at least here on the East Coast, as far as the storminess and the fluctuation between the cold wind chill and then the temperature, which I think reached 50 degrees, which is very abnormal for December here. So I'm going to wait a few minutes, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with this channel. If you please tell your family and friends, if you sign in to your YouTube or Google account, you can click on personalized or all for notifications for Astroscoop. You can get all the notifications, or you can get personalized. So depending on what you've watched on my channel in the past, it will suggest new videos or new live streams based on what you've watched. So if you only want to get maybe 1 or 2 notifications a month, click the personalized for my channel. If you want to get every notification, which is basically 1 a week, sometimes once every 10 days or so. And I don't do a lot of notifications, so you'll get those notified for each video and of course each live stream. And I've been very lackadaisical on the videos, so I hope to have a video soon before the new year, a proper video. But I've been concentrating on the live streams and doing a lot of, last month or so, I've been doing a lot of astrological reading, a lot of research, looking at a lot of statistics, looking at a lot of birth charts of people in my family, famous people. Just been looking at a lot of different charts and looking for patterns and things like that, so that I can come up with some new things for the new year to share with all of you Astroscoop viewers and listeners. So I really appreciate, again, anyone that supports the channel as we come to the close of the year. Any support of my channel is truly appreciated. If you want to donate to my channel, you may donate via Venmo. I also have PayPal. Venmo, I'm on there. You can find me at Astroscoop. But if you have trouble with that, you can let me know. And like I said, I also accept PayPal. But it's not about the amount, it's just about the thought and the intention of supporting a very small channel like myself that's growing slowly, continues to grow slowly, but that's okay. As long as we're moving forward, even little by little, that's the way to go. So yeah, you can donate via Venmo or PayPal. If you have any questions, I do have the email on there, or you can see it in my profile or on other videos. You can comment on a video or comment on this live stream after it's done, because it will be a replay video that you can watch, and then you can comment on. All right, I hope I got the time right for the time zones, because I did put on X and Instagram today that I was going live at 9 p.m. Eastern time, but I usually never go live at this time, Eastern time. It's usually earlier, 7 or 8, or it's on Saturdays or Thursdays. So interesting. But I'm just gonna do a little quick meditation here and a little breathing, which you could do. This is a great thing to do, especially with the winter solstice coming up in 2 days. We're transitioning from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Very, very good time, especially for those of you that have the cold climate during the next 3 to 4 months. And if you live in areas like northern New England, or if you live upstate New York, or in certain pockets of Canada, your winter will go well into May, I imagine. So a very, very long winter. And it's a really good time to take stock of your life, your values, and to go inside and concentrate on what really, really matters to you. Get rid of all those distractions. There's so many distractions. People trying to sell you everything, people trying to tell you how to believe and how to think, but you just have to, you have all the answers. You just got to get back in touch with yourself before distractions. That's all you have to do. So when we get into Capricorn next week, Monday will be the first full day. Sunday on the East Coast here, we will go into the Earth sign of Capricorn. When we go into Capricorn, it begins a new cycle, but it's also sort of a hibernation period because of the reserve of Capricorn, which we'll talk about that on the next live stream. So tonight we're going to talk about Sagittarius-Capricorn Cusp that runs from December 18th or 19th, depending on the year and the degree. So tonight we talk about the cusp, which is, today is the new moon in Sagittarius. So another very, very good time to set intentions for new beginnings, set your meditation, whatever works for you. Whether you use sound frequencies, whether you use art, whether you use music, whether you use astrology, Reiki, crystals, anything with healing, being near the water, whatever works for you, this is a really, really good time for healing and to get ready to hibernate somewhat with the Capricorn period and, of course, the winter months, which is a good time to take stock. Eat well, eat sustenance, substantial foods, and take care of yourself. Eat well, eat sustenance, substantial foods, and take care of yourself. It's very important. So I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. I see it's almost 10 after, and no one's here yet, or at least I don't see anybody. If anyone's here, you can say hello or hi. Okay. All right. Well, no one's here yet, but I'll talk to myself for now, and of course, hopefully people will see this on the replay. So tonight we're talking about Sagittarius and Capricorn Cusp, and you can check out, the link is in the chat here. You can see youtube.com/watch. That is my live stream of this subject 1 year ago on December 20th, 2024. So you can check that out. And I also have cusp videos, and you can check out my fire and earth sign playlists. So you can find Capricorn videos and Sagittarius videos if you happen to be born this week. You're a Sag or Capricorn, and if you know cusp signs. So when we combine Sag and Capricorn, some books call it the cusp of prophecy. And the interesting thing about people born this week, the 18th or 19th to the 25th or 26th, either late Sag or early Capricorn, is the prophecy part of it, or at times the psychic part of the person, is dormant. So it can be a matter of helping the person to bring out those faculties, or them just practicing it and having the faith to try to be psychic, try to be increase intuition or prophetic. And Sagittarius Capricorn people don't always believe in that for themselves. They don't always believe it. The Capricorn side of them can be somewhat suspicious. And the Sagittarius side, while it's very open and embracing, also because it's late Sagittarius energy coming off the third decan, it can be a little darker, and it can be a little moodier than earlier Sagittarius energy, or traditionally more jovial or cheerful Sagittarius energy. So people born on this cusp, I notice either you dealing with someone who tends to have a default kind of serious disposition or identity with occasional bouts of laughter and adventure, or someone that is somewhat adventurous and silly and likes to joke around with a serious side that comes and goes depending on the situation. So either Sagittarius with Capricorn qualities, or early Capricorn with late Sagittarius qualities. And there is a very serious and studious side to people that are Sag Capricorn people. They can be adventurous one day, and they can be cautious the next day, or they could even be simultaneously adventurous and cautious. Now I have a lot of celebrities to go through tonight, but I'm probably not going to have time. But I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research. Now, just a couple celebrities I have here: Elliot Easton, who's the guitarist and co-founder of the Cars, the rock group The Cars. Amazingly underrated guitarist. Very, very, very intricate and ambitious guitar work with The Cars, and yet he gets very little recognition in the world of guitarists, but incredible. Now, a guitarist who's passed, who has gotten a lot of recognition, is Frank Zappa. Now, the eccentric Frank Zappa was a genius of sorts of what he could do with his guitar and his composing. And he was very adventurous in his music, incorporating all sorts of ethnicities, people using all sorts of different instruments from around the world: jazz, rock, pop, avant-garde, old-fashioned type of music and sounds, spoken word, rap. So Frank Zappa is someone that is truly a Sag Capricorn in the sense that he was adventurous, but also incredibly ambitious behind the scenes. He sort of hibernated and just created prolific albums decade after decade after decade, up until in the 90s. And then, of course, his son, Dweezil, has kind of followed in his footsteps and taken on that guitar legacy. So those are two guitarists that are very much typical of Sag Capricorn. Now with Capricorn and Sag, we have sensation, which is earth, the mode of sensation, and we have intuition, which is basically the Sagittarius part. So the positive of that combination is you have someone who takes chances, but in a grounded way. So a Sagittarius born today, let's say, or yesterday, or tomorrow, takes adventurous risks, but they do it in a more grounded fashion for the most part. They're not going to fail as much because the Capricorn part of them will have more of a plan. Now, of course, this depends on the age of the individual, the maturity level, and where you're at with Saturn, your Saturn cycles, and all that good stuff. But generally speaking, the sensation and intuition are strong. So they can go by their gut, but they're also going by this sense of this good common sense, like horse sense, of kind of knowing what they want, kind of knowing maybe if they're taking on too much. Now, a Sagittarius born a week ago, let's say on the 11th or 12th, that's a giant of a Sagittarius. It's a giant personality, not necessarily physically, but mythologically. It's someone that's like a giant. And they will have very, very strong intuition and not as much sensation and not as much thought put into their endeavors, and will undoubtedly make more mistakes because they'll shoot for the stars stronger, but they'll also have bigger hits. So if they succeed in a big project or venture, especially like with music or media or TV or something, they will hit big because of that Jupiter. So you have Jupiter and Saturn coming together. Now I talk about this every year, and you'll hear most astrologers talk about Jupiter with Sag and Saturn the taskmaster with Capricorn. So the combination of Jupiter and Sag is like a rubber band. It's gonna stretch, it's gonna expand only so much to where it can snap and then hurt you. It can snap too much. So if it's too tightly wound, that's not good. If it's expanding too much, then it's going to come back when you least expect it and hurt your skin. That's not good either. So there is this push-pull with wanting to expand and wanting to play things safe and play the long game, which we'll talk about Capricorn proper on the next live stream. But that Sagittarius part is always going to be trying different things. And the Capricorn part might say, hey, I like that you're shooting for the stars. I like this big project. I like the ambition, but is this useful? Is what we're doing useful? So Sagittarius is not necessarily going to ask itself, is what I'm doing useful? Is what I'm doing fun, expansive, maybe to help people, maybe be inspirational, maybe to be an advisor or a teacher, like I mentioned on my last live stream. Those are things that Sag is going to ask. But the cusp person is going to be a different personality than a Sag born a week ago or a Sagittarius born 2 weeks ago. Now there's a star called Edaman, that's one star, which is a very public star, or a Sagittarius born 2 weeks ago. Now there's a star called Edaman, that's one star, which is a very public star, and it correlates with the dragon. And I mentioned that last year, Draco or Draco for dragon. So there are nods, there are mythological nods to the dragon, serpent bearer, and horses, all for these late Sagittarius people and into the early cusp for the winter solstice beginning. So Edelman is very public. James Van Praagh, who is a noted medium and psychic, he is born under this one, which is called Sinistra. So it's part of the same constellation, or Scorpio going into Sag. Edelman and Sinistra. Very, very big. It's the serpent bearer. Very, very big fixed stars. Do things in a big way. And they tend to have very, very big, grand ideas. So if someone born on this cusp, this is really, really important. If I'm doing your chart, if you're born on December 20th, tomorrow, the 21st, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, even if you're early Capricorn, I'm looking at your Mercury to see how you use your thoughts, how you communicate with others, and how you communicate with yourself. So whether you're a late Sag or an early Capricorn doesn't really matter, but I'm really looking to Mercury in addition to Saturn, but I'm going to look to Mercury to see, is Mercury in Sagittarius for more grand ideas, or is Mercury in Capricorn, which is going to be ideas that are big possibly, but steady and careful. I've known Sagittarius people that have the Mercury in Capricorn, and they are much better planners in overall. They're much better planners than a Sagittarius person with that also has Mercury in Sagittarius. That can be a little bit too much Sagittarius. So those are some stars. Robin Gibb and Maurice Gibb, the twin brothers that made up part of the Bee Gees, along with their brother Barry. They are born this week, and they're twins. They're just born, I think, 30 or 40 minutes apart. And you know what? Let's look at Maurice Gibb's chart really quick, since he is someone born this week. And we could look at, let's see, view chart. Okay. All right, so this is Maurice Gibb's chart. He was born on December 22nd, 1949, in the UK, Douglas, UK, in the morning. And now he was born that year in 49, the winter solstice he was almost there. He's 2958 here of Sag. So it was just hours later that day. It was later that morning started the winter solstice. So he is a winter solstice baby along with his brother. But he, along with the brother, gave their other brother Barry, they gave the group a lot of Sagittarius and Capricorn ambition and inspiration to make the music so powerful, I think. Now he also had Scorpio rising, which is highly creative and powerful, and Leo sitting up here on a high point of the chart. So he was destined to be well known here. That was a given. But he's not quite an official Capricorn, even though he's just a hair away from Capricorn. But his Mercury, like I mentioned, his Mercury here is in Capricorn, and it's direct. So that gave him a lot of concentration, the ability to concentrate and focus in a very serious way with his big ideas as a Sag in his singing and organizing the music and lyrics with his brothers, for the brothers Gibb, because they went through all different incarnations. They were folk, pop, disco, sort of alternative rock kind of. So they did all kinds of music. But I just wanted to mention him quick because he is a cusp celebrity. So that's Robin and Maurice. Now I mentioned psychic. These people born this week can absolutely be psychic. Now, of course, anyone can, and you'll see the psychics and mediums on YouTube and Instagram and X say that any of us can do it, and we can. We have a lot of blocks in ourselves. We have emotional blocks, but more often we have spiritual or mental blocks that block us from the faith and just letting it flow, letting us tune into things intuitively and in psychic way, and not always using, combining the left and right brains, getting that left brain going with the right brain, and both. The logical, scientific, rational part of us is way overused in life. We need it for daily planning. We need it for our jobs, but it's great. It's great to be rational and logical, but we overuse that part of our brain. So we have to get the hemispheres balanced. So these people can be psychic. They like to guess, and they can play on their hunches, which is mostly the Sag part. But the interesting thing about Capricorn is Capricorn seems like such a serious sign that Capricorn wouldn't believe in anything that's non-physical, which some Capricorns are like that. They don't believe of anything that's above the earth, so to speak. That's not earthly. But some Capricorns can be into some far out stuff, even though they're serious and they have their feet on the ground, and they have that good earthy common sense. But they could play their hunches. They think big. People on this cusp think big. Between the inspiration of Sag and the ambition of Capricorn, they're thinking big. These are big planners. These are big doers. But it just depends on which part of that personality is dominant in the chart. And again, I would look at Mercury. I would look at Saturn for these people. That's why we looked at Maurice's chart. He has Mercury in Capricorn. So you really have to look at Saturn, Mercury. Of course, you look at everything else as well. Look at the big three, look at the moon, the ascendant, to see, does it dampen the Sag or does it expand it? Is there more fire? Is there air to fan the Sagittarius fire? That sort of thing. All right, so we're almost a half hour in and I don't see anyone. That's odd, really, really odd. So if anyone's here, please say hi if you can. Please say hi if you can. So if anyone comes in, please say hello, or I'm here, or that sort of thing. Or if you have a question about the transits, you can give me an indicator from your chart, your sun, moon, or rising, your Mars, Venus, and we'll look at that for you. All right, let's keep going. So Noel Hogan was the guitarist, the founder of the Cranberries from the late 80s and 90s, the iconic Irish group, the Cranberries. One of my favorites. And as a man, I am not at all ashamed to admit that. I love the Cranberries. I loved Dolores Riordan. She was a very troubled woman, but her emotion, her panic, her eccentricity, and her magic, just amazing. And I think that group, even though that group was kind of mainstream alternative in the early 90s, they were on all the radio stations and stuff, at least here in the US, very mainstream. If you listen to their music, it's much deeper and it has a lot more subtlety and nuance. So for those musicians out there, you'll know what I mean. There's a lot of subtlety and nuance with the chords and the changes and of course the lyrics and just the vibe, the vibration. And he was really great with the guitar. James Alexander is another great Sagittarius-Capricorn person who was a very focal point member for the legendary soul group, the Bar-Kays. The Bar-Kays were a very, very, in a lot of ways, not talked about enough, almost on the same level as James Brown and Earth, Wind, and Fire in the world of soul, R&B, and funk. Just extremely influential on all kinds of 70s and 80s and 90s bands as far as like soul and rhythm and blues. So James Alexander, wonderful wonderful contribution to music. Very, very ambitious, and very strong, very inspirational. So people on this cusp are hidden. There's something hidden about them. Now, if you think of in astrology, I would bet that most of us astrologers, if we're thinking someone's personality is hidden or secretive, we're probably looking for Scorpio. We're looking for 8th house. We're looking for the Pisces. We're looking for the 12th house, which is Pisces house, or we're looking for certain aspects to those water houses, to the 4th, to the 8th, to the 12th. And of course, there's other indicators too, but that's what we're probably looking at first. We're looking for water. And the interesting thing is this is not a water cusp. This is fire, earth, or earth, fire, however you want to look at it. So they can be hidden in the sense that because they're a cusp solstice personality, the solstice energy is thrusting forward because it's Capricorn. So it's a cardinal sign and it's thrusting forward, but it's doing it amongst nature going inside, right? So everything kind of going dormant and hibernating and everything getting calm and solid, you know, literally. But yet we're moving forward and with that ambition and that planning of Capricorn. So a lot of this energy, if you know a Sagittarius-Capricorn person that's really ambitious with something in their life or a hobby, you'll know that they don't always show it or mention it, but it will show eventually in their actions, but some of it will be hidden. And they're not necessarily hiding it on purpose, but they are ruminating over things in their own time and they need solitude. They're ruminating and they're practicing and they're doing stuff. And they accomplish a heck of a lot down the road. And you'll see that. But they can be undiscoverable. So it's important for Sag-Cap people to remain open and not to close themselves off. I know I mentioned this last year. That felt very deja vu. Me saying that sentence. Whoa. Yep. It's like another time. I said it last year, and I know I said it 2 years ago. So Sag-Capricorn people have to be very careful to remain open and not close themselves off through judgment. They can be very careful not to be too judgmental, closed off, opinionated. You know, the Capricorn can be a little stubborn, and the Sag can be a little self-righteous. So that combination can be tough if they're misfiring or not feeling secure, sort of thing. So hidden and undiscoverable. So unless there's something in the chart that helps them, that warms them up a little bit and helps them to express a little more, especially with the houses too. If their Sag or Capricorn sun is in like the 12th house, very hidden, the 8th house or the 4th, those water houses are going to dampen. It's going to hold back that Sagittarius-Capricorn energy somewhat, but it will be very strong and ambitious in that area of life. So if it was the person's 4th house, it would be their roots. It could be the earthy projects. It could be real estate, that kind of business, or something with their family or working out of their home or something like that. So wherever it is, it's going to be very strong and ambitious, and it's going to, there's that arrow is going to, so Sagittarius is going to shoot that arrow somewhere. So in tarot, it equates to the 10 of Wands, which is duty, burden, and it can be collapse. So Sagittarius Capricorn people often take on an enormous burden of responsibility on their shoulders. If a late Sag can be a giant and an early Capricorn wants to rule over whatever it is that he or she is doing, they want to just rule. And we'll talk about that when we get to Capricorn next time. But Capricorn likes that a little bit of that power. So the 10 of Wands is a symbol for Sagittarius Capricorn people to be very careful. It's great to be dutiful, and it's great to take on those burdens. But again, I mentioned this many times with my Sagittarius videos on live streams. Balance, which is mostly a Libra word, right? For all you Libra people out there, or Libra stelliums seeking balance. Balance is not necessarily an easy concept for Sagittarius and even Sagittarius-Capricorn people. So the opposite cusp of this, obviously, is the summer solstice, which is Gemini Cancer, which is water and air, which we had 6 months ago and we will have in 6 months. So the 10 of Wands, be very, very careful, Sag-Cap people. Don't unnecessarily burden yourself to please your spouse or your company. If you're organized and you're talented at what you do, between having Sag and Capricorn there, I know you do it well, and I know you do it very hard. You play hard and you work hard, sometimes way too hard. I know one man on this cusp, and boy, does he play hard. So his hobbies are not just a hobby. They're not just, a casual thing to do when he's not working. He's going at it full force. But he also has other indicators in his chart that would enhance that. He has more Sag than just the sun. And then he also has some air and also some of the placements with his astrological houses. So there's a lot at play there. Okay, so let's see. We're getting into the hour here. I still don't see anybody. Boy, this is really odd. It figures I pick a weird time on a Friday night. I pick a late time, at least East Coast time, and there's nobody here. But hopefully people will check it out on the replay. If you are from another country and you see this on the replay, would you please comment and let me know what kind of what branch of astrology you practice and where you're watching from. That would be wonderful. All right. So let's see what else can we look at. So let's look at the new moon chart, which is tonight, which is okay, let's see here. Share that. Okay. All right. So here's the new moon in Sagittarius. This is New York Eastern time on the 19th, 2025. So this was just about an hour ago. This was the exact sun, moon, new moon combination at 28 degrees. So very, very late, obviously, and very, very close to Capricorn. Now, this is interesting. Venus in Sag, which is direct, is also conjunct the moon and Venus. So this Sag energy is all conjunct. Jupiter is having a love affair here. Oh my gosh. Jupiter is just so strong here. So for anyone with Sagittarius planets or even Sagittarius rising, if it's a late degree, if it's above 20 degrees, you are really feeling this, and hopefully you're feeling it in a cheerful, positive way, because these are all direct energies. Now, this Mars in Capricorn is also direct. This Mercury in Sag, also direct. These are all direct. Pluto, as I mentioned, is now going direct at 2. Look at Neptune and Saturn. Look at that. Direct. Uranus, a lot less retrograde, paused energy. We have the node. We have Uranus, retrograde. And then we have this point, the asteroid. And we have Jupiter has gone way back to 22 of Cancer. So Jupiter's kind of going, taking a little breather and going into the pool there, going backwards. But this is the chart. Now, I've been mentioning for months, if any of you have seen my live streams, I've been mentioning for months the lack of fire in the cosmic sky. So any baby born in the last couple months, there's a lot of birth dates where the baby would be very, very low on fire unless the baby had fire rising. But tonight, a baby born in New York at 8:43 or right around there would have Leo rising. Aries is over here on this top of the chart here. And then we have Sag on the 5th house. And we have all this 5th house Sagittarius energy, and then Mercury's in the 4th. But I mean, look at all this Sag. I mean, holy cow. No planets in Aries, even though Neptune is super close, but Neptune's now direct in Pisces, close to Aries. But lots and lots of fire, which I think is great, because too much of any element can be an imbalance. And I know I have some people in my circle that have charts where they have stelliums in one particular sign or element, and that element dominates the chart, whether it's fire or water. And while it can be really great for them in some areas of their life, it inevitably can bring a lack. So if someone has way too much fire and they don't have, let's say, any much earth or water, depending on the houses, they may lack a more sensitive or grounded approach to people or life. When that's called for in life, they may not be as easy to be able to tune into that or summon that, when they need to be a little more sensitive, a little more thoughtful, not as impulsive, not as reckless, not as adventurous. Sagittarius has a lot of great qualities. Really, they really do. And of course, I won't be talking too much about Sagittarius for a long time. This will be my last proper Sagittarius live stream, probably until next year. But I'm going to talk about, I'm going to do a Mars video or live stream, where I will go through all the signs of Mars, which is energy. And I will talk about Mars in Sagittarius as well. But Sagittarius has a lot of great qualities, but Sagittarius can be a lot to handle for themselves and other people. Sagittarius is a sign, out of all the signs, that really sticks out to me as a sign that could be, there's a song from the Black Crowes. Most people know that group, the Black Crowes. And the lead singer says, "I'm hard to handle now." He says, "Yeah, I'm hard to handle now." So that's kind of very Sag to me. I think he's a Capricorn. I don't think he's a Sag, but Sagittarius can be hard to handle, and especially for themselves as well. So that's not necessarily a negative thing, but Sagittarius, possibly more than any other sign, has to be really careful not to go way overboard or too far with things, especially when it's negative or feeling grandiose, or having grandiose ideas and plans that either don't make sense, are harmful to other people, are too dominant, like Joseph Stalin is one example from history. I did a poll, and I asked a bunch of people, and someone picked Joseph Stalin on my social media. So that sort of thing. So this new moon is a time to be cheerful and joyful, and celebrate, Christmas coming up next week, or whatever it is you celebrate, Christmas, Hanukkah, or nothing, or if you're just neutral. The Sagittarius energy is jovial, cheerful, honest at its best, and inspirational at its best. So Sag can teach the other signs a lot. Sagittarius can teach the signs a lot, especially the shyer signs, the more sensitive signs that don't take chances, the more cautious signs that don't take chances enough, or might get stuck easier, maybe like Taurus. Sag can teach that, and Sag can do that very easily. But of course, this late Sag energy, as we're talking about the cusp, this is not pure Sag. This is Sag Capricorn. And this sun and moon at 28, this is almost 29. That's basically conjunct Mars, even though this is in Capricorn. This is all Sag Capricorn energy here. And Mars in Capricorn is very serious and very strong and very well placed. So this is very strong and powerful right now. And I like that Pluto finally went direct. Oh my gosh. How long have I been talking about Pluto retrograde? Right? Pluto's been retrograde for so long. Pluto's going to be here for decades. So early Aquarius planets, I mention this at least once a month, early Aquarius planets are getting that conjunction. If you're in Aquarius at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that Pluto is right on your sun in Aquarius. And if you have an early Aquarius planet, it's transforming that early Aquarius planet. So it's going to really help you to pause and breathe and figure out how to use your truth and your power effectively. It's going to be absolute lessons with power. All right, so that's the chart for tonight. I hope people see this on the live stream because I think this is a great, astrologically, this is a really fun time here. So I guess for our last chart, I got a whole bunch of things I want to get to, but it's already 9:45 and there's no one here, so probably not going to go too much longer. But let's look at a famous person who has the sun and moon in Sagittarius, like the combination tonight. Okay, so this is the chart of the infamous Ted Bundy, serial killer, an overall creepy person. Ted was born November 24th, 1946, in the evening night chart, Burlington, Vermont. And this, of course, was Eastern time. So this accuracy is pretty high as far as the sites I've seen. So this gives Ted as having a 25-degree Leo rising ascendant. But now Ted was not born under a new moon. So here you can see Ted's sun in Sag at 2 degrees. His moon is way over here at 17. So the sun and moon are not conjunct. However, his moon is conjunct Mars in Sag, which is can be very wild and impetuous and very aggressive. But he had this sun at 2 of Sag here because he was born the first. He's really kind of a Scorpio Sag cusp instead of a Sag Capricorn cusp. But he has the sun and moon in Sag, this combination. That's why I picked him. Now he had the Mercury in Scorpio retrograde. So Mercury in Scorpio is much more secretive, quiet, and can hide his motives really well. And he was able to hide his motives and trick people really well. So that's because he didn't have Mercury in Sag, like some other Sagittarius people do. His thinking, his plotting was not impulsive, even though here his energy, his emotions were all over the place. He had a grandiose sense of self with the Leo rising, ruled by the sun in Sag. But his thinking, Mercury, retrograde, late degree of Scorpio, and also Venus, right there with it, also late degree of Scorpio and retrograde. So he had a lot of an ability as a Sag to be friendly and charming, but also behind that, he had this quiet, plotting, vindictive nature that he was able to conceal. Now he had Jupiter direct in 1946. Jupiter was placed in Scorpio. So he expanded through dark or deep activities, but he just chose to expand that outward and to use that for harm instead of using that for probing to learn and to heal. Jupiter and Scorpio people usually expand through deep subjects and have a good capacity to heal others, because Jupiter's expansion, which is Sag, but it's in Scorpio. So he misused that Jupiter in Scorpio, along with all of this messy retrograde Scorpio energy. And he had all this Leo energy here in the 12th hidden. Now, I talked about how people on this cusp can be hidden. Now, even though he's not a Sagittarius-Capricorn cusp personality, and he didn't have any Capricorn officially, he had Saturn, which is the planet of Capricorn, hidden in the 12th in Leo, the asteroid, and Pluto all hidden here in the 12th. And then he had these outer dimensions here, outer points in Gemini at the top of his chart, Taurus here on the midheaven, and then in the 10th of the public, all of this Gemini energy here opposing some of his Sag as well. A lot of very restless, tense opposition here between the node and Uranus or Uranus kind of thing. And Ted was not very grounded. I mean, we had Virgo here, nothing, no planets in Capricorn, no planets in Taurus. Now, I'm not counting all the asteroids and everything, which you may have, but just the basic points. He didn't have an exceptional amount of Earth to necessarily ground him. The Earth houses the second. He had one planet, 6-0. The 10th, he does have the outer placements, but still not a strong emphasis, except for having the Taurus. Taurus on the house of the public, ruled by Venus in Scorpio. So he was possessive in a way towards the public, but he did it in a calm. He was able to be calm and quiet about it. That's why he was able to fool people, because he had an ability to regulate himself and to be calm in order to eventually trick people. So maybe when we have an audience, I'll come back to this Ted Bundy chart. And if you see this on the replay and you like my analysis of Ted Bundy, will you please comment in this live stream after it's a video? Once it's a video, please comment in the live stream that you enjoyed this part of the Ted Bundy analysis. If you did, I will do it again to talk about the Sag and the Scorpio and the Leo. I'll do that in a future live stream when we have an audience, hopefully at least 4 or 5 people. So please let me know if that's something you're interested in. And if you liked it, please comment. Very important. All right, so I have other charts here, but no one's coming in and it's getting late. So I'm going to cut this a little short. I was planning on going on another 15 or 20 minutes. But we looked at the new moon in Sagittarius chart, which the new moon is tonight. Again, good time for meditation. Any kind of meditation, whatever works for you to calm your mind. And it's also good to prepare yourself for sleep, to dim the lights, have darkness, and take magnesium, or eat magnesium-rich foods. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals for regulation in your body, but especially for sleep. But that's not medical advice. That's just my personal advice. But magnesium is very, very helpful for sleep and relaxation. So I hope everyone has a wonderful new moon. Happy winter solstice on Sunday. And I hope you have a wonderful winter and have a great Christmas. And my next live stream will be after Christmas, after the 25th. It might be next Friday, the 26th. It could be the 27th or even the 28th. But most likely it will be next weekend or early the following week. So have a wonderful holiday week. I hope you get time off from school. I hope for those of you that work, I hope you get time off from work. And, you know, again, when we go into Capricorn, it's that time to just get settled and plan and hibernate and like bide your time and then get ready to, you know, to let it rip when Aries comes in the spring. All right. Thank you so much for viewing. I know no one's here right now, but people will see this in the future for the replay. Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and sign into your Google YouTube account here. You have to sign in, find Astroscoop, be signed in, click all or personalized for my notifications, and look for new videos and new live stream notifications. And follow me on X, Astro_Scoop, and Instagram, Astroscoop7. I post on there a few times a week. Some days I don't, but most days I do, and you'll see my updates there. Thank you so much. I wish you and your family and your loved ones a wonderful winter solstice. Be healthy. There's nothing more important than being healthy. So I wish you the best of health. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.